Jamie Foxx on the Tim Ferris show, Tim Ferriss's favorite podcast. I'm not really into listening to all of Tim Ferriss' podcasts, at least not recently, with all the stuff that I've been doing. And when I got the email that I get from him, because I'm on his email list, he said easily my most favorite podcast he's ever done. And I had to listen to it. And I already knew that it was going to be sort of off topic, off my projects. And I'm driving to work and I'm listening to this podcast with Jamie Foxx. And I'm just thinking, wow, what an amazing story. I'm actually only about 1/3 or maybe about almost 1/2 done, and there's so much that happens in his life as far as like his success and everything that he's done as far as like in the entertainment industry. And I can just tell you that, man, it was just I'm just trying to wonder, because how often do you ever feel that connected with somebody? You know, it's sort of like what I'm striving to do. It's what it is it's an outpouring of passion. It's an outpouring of essentially connection, and you're just putting yourself out there. I just ended at the part where he says, when he's talking about building confidence in his kids. You know, I have 3 kids, so I'm thinking, wow, that's amazing. He asks his kids, what's on the other side of fear? What's on the other side of fear? And then, of course, you know, there's nothing on the other side of fear. And then Tim Ferriss quotes Mark Twain and says, you know, something about along the lines of, I've been troubled by so many things that haven't happened yet, or that have never happened. I can't remember the exact quote, but the point is, we are afraid for nothing. You know, we're afraid for very few things, and we essentially manufacture all these problems that we have because we are afraid of connecting with one another. I mean, that's currently my current stance as today's December 14th, 2015. And this is sort of how I got started. You know, I listen to podcasts, I get inspired, and then I want to share my message, and then I get to work, and it's kind of like I forget about it. I lose the feeling, I lose the energy. I get too insecure to make a video. So I don't have 9 o'clock this morning, so I decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and make a video. And I'm assuming that you watched the podcast, or maybe you haven't. It doesn't really matter. The point is that, I mean, about how he meets Kanye West, how he meets Ferris, just a lot of famous entertainers. Ed Sheeran is a pretty interesting story. It's a little short one, but it's just so cool. And what I want to talk about really was sort of the power of superstition. And superstition is one of those things that, you know, people don't want to believe. And this is probably the biggest reason why I believe in God, is that, you know, because I've always been conflicted with believing in God for quite some time. And I know I believe in God. There's just kind of like no way around that, just because that's how I feel. And my buddy Nas on the Think Like a Modern Man podcast that we do, he is atheist, and he swears he's an atheist, and I keep giving him a hard time saying that he isn't. But the one thing that I really think about the most when it comes to this sort of thing about superstition is superstition from the non-woo-woo, non-magical sense. Is superstition puts you in mode. It puts you in the right physiology. It's sort of like how you feel after you like lift a heavy weight, or maybe just as you get out of a warm-up, right? You start to warm up for your workout, whether it be a run, a bike ride, or just a lifting session, and you just kind of get in mode, and then it doesn't hurt as much anymore, and you're just like in the zone, but you're strong. All the hormones start kicking in, you're breathing better, your posture's strong, and you're just kind of like sort of what I'm getting in now. I'm sort of kind of getting in this mode because it takes a little bit while sometimes, and sometimes you never get it, you know, because when making a video, it's so easy to sort of like freeze up because it feels like there's a gun pointed to your head. And that's essentially what it is. You know, there's so many things going on. But superstition, believing in something that is basically bullshit, and sort of in a way, believing in your own bullshit is what it is. It's all it really is sort of a pattern of feelings, a pattern of physiology, meaning pattern of breathing, pattern of posture, a pattern of thinking that kind of puts you into state. You know, because a lot of the time you have to remember, like, if there is a burning building next to you, you know, or if your car is, you know, you're on the highway and it starts to like spin out, right? These things kick in. And the reason why is a combination of your brain working with your body, telling you, is like, oh shit, something's about to happen. You need to do something. And with superstition, I know this is kind of weird, but it's kind of like the same thing. Like, you're just trying to get into this place to make sure that you're safe. That way you can get in the most effective mode to create, to build, to react, to take action. And in the case of what I'm talking about, I'm really just talking about flow state. If you've ever heard of this, flow state, when you're in the flow, when you're in the mode, you're jiving, and you're just able to essentially have genius flow out of you. It's that what's that zone of genius that I forgot what it was, a creativity talk. I forgot who talks about it. It's a good TED talk. But I mean, the whole idea is that you're trying to get this thing out of you to sort of share with the world, and it's amazing when you can get there. And the thing is, in order to get there on a regular basis, you have to practice. And I think a lot of the time when we listen to a podcast, when we watch a TV show, when you watch my video, you're sort of trying to find that. And I think that's the thing I want to communicate in this video, is that superstition, believing in God, even though that's not a superstition to a lot of people, is I just use it as a framework for understanding things. And the actual feeling of how I genuinely feel about Christianity and God is a different than the actual concept of talking it to you. So I'm not trying to force my beliefs on you. I'm simply saying that, hey, look, there's this idea that is allowing me to do this particular thing. I believe that if I warm up before working out, there's less likely of me getting injured. Now, there's truth in that, but I'm just saying that sometimes, even if it isn't necessarily true, a lot of things go into place when you do believe in these kind of things. This is kind of why routines are important. And why are routines important? Realize that when you're trying to do something at a high level, you are not like a computer. You're not you're not a conscious computer. You are sort of an unconscious computer. It's like you have like multiple brains in your head that are sort of juggling all these different things. Superstition is a way to sort of get your body to manage things without thinking. Because remember, a lot of what we do has to do with not thinking. And what I mean by that is at a subconscious level. This is why humans can never be replaced, because the skill level required to figure things out is not something that a machine can do. Sure, you can teach a machine to do a process better than a human, but you can't teach creativity to a machine. At least not yet anyway. It's going to take a while. And that's what I mean. It's like being able to sort of get that I want to say existential, but I don't know if that's even the word I want to use, but it's just like, again, taking that inner genius, being able to develop and grow and be able to build and create something and express yourself in such a way. And in the Tim Ferris podcast with Jamie Foxx, I'm thinking to myself, why am I so compelled? I'm driving to work, right? My drive is about 35 minutes, and I'm just thinking, wow, this is like, why is this so powerful? Why am I so compelled, to listen? And why is it so good? And why am I just so drawn in? And everything has to do with the fact that he is extremely passionate about what's going on. He has felt all of this. Throwing parties for Puff Daddy, traveling, helping with his grandmother, making the show, the movie, the Ray Charles, the movie, being able to just in the entertainment industry and just do all these things that are and exemplify his genius, his inner genius. And not that I want to be Jamie Foxx or that you should want to be Jamie Foxx. It's just really more about finding that piece in you to sort of change the world, or affect the world in a way that leaves your mark in a very positive, in a way that you want. Because I think I know for a fact that it's the reason why so many of us die inside and why we get depressed, some of us. And I think for most people, the people that get more depressed are the people that are essentially sort of like me, meaning that they need to do something big. They need to do something of expressive. They have to do something, like they have to make a video like I'm making right now. They have to do it, because if you don't do it, you're not going to be able, you're just going to feel like you're going to die inside. It's sort of like some people have to exercise, because if they don't exercise, they're going to die inside. They just fall apart. And I think, this is from the book The Sports Genius, sort of mentioned in there about this whole idea of people that exercise and people who don't exercise, people who run. It's not that they're talented athletes that want to run, and that they're good at it. I mean, those are the case, I'm sure. But really, the other thing is that they have to do it, because if they don't, they'll die. It's sort of it's a gene. It's sort of like this thing in your body, and it's a characteristic of runners. And I mean, so kind of bringing this back to superstition, as I've kind of gone all over the place, you have to believe in something. If you don't believe, even if you do believe in not believing, that's a belief. That's a true belief. Because if you don't believe in something, it is very difficult to really go through life, because so much of what we do is based on faith. You know, even not believing is faith. You know, based on the way we see the lens of the world, it's faith. You know, even though, you know, we're talking about some science and math and physics or whatever, and we're talking about like what it means to, you know, like if you don't believe in God or you don't believe in God or Christianity or not, you have to realize that there's this thing that you're doing that you believe in, and it's proven by all the facts, and maybe that's the reason why you believe it, and that's just how it is, but you believe it. And I refer to this a lot in the podcast, which is conviction. We have to have that conviction in ourselves to sort of believe a certain thing, so that way we can pursue what we want, because we function on these things that are basically automatic, and they happen. And this is the thing that's really important, that the main message I want to make in this video is that if you want to ever be able to really improve your confidence and really get to that next stage in your life, you have to believe in something. And even, you know, this is why people go to church, why people believe in God, because maybe they believe in themselves, maybe they have difficulty believing in themselves, but it's being able to have conviction that what you're doing is what is right. And when you don't believe what you're doing is right, or you don't have the conviction to do it, or you don't have the faith in it, essentially I'm telling you to have faith in yourself. You know, because if you don't, it's very difficult to live through life. And that's probably, you know, up I'm 33 now, turning 34 in February. Every moment up until this point has led me here. And that is, I had never had faith in myself. And now for the first time in my life, I do. And that is something that I want to teach you. That is not something that's easy to do. And I hope through these videos I'm able to do that, simply by the transformation that you're going to see, through the fears that I'm going to conquer, and just change in the growth of this channel and my other channel, and just the email list that I write and all this stuff. But if you want to watch that podcast, if you haven't listened to it, I'll put the link in the description. I'll also put the link to our podcast. But other than that, I'll see you guys later.